Hey folks, welcome to this video, second video in my 90-day challenge. I'm Mick Hawes from Builder's Business Black Belt, and I'm embarking on a 90-day challenge to create some content for 90 days in a row, 7 days a week, so on the weekends as well, to be able to learn more rapidly about mastery and using a thing called the Feynman Method, and hopefully learning how to explain things better and help other people along the way. And so in this video, I do want to unpack the fundamental Feynman method that I'm talking about. I first learned about this in Steven Bartlett's book, Diary of a CEO. He mentions the Feynman method, looked into it. Richard Feynman was a physicist, and he was renowned for being able to use a very simple process to be able to take very complex concepts and help people understand them more effortlessly and more quickly. And the process is quite simple, but it sits on a saying you've probably heard before. I know I've heard it many times. I think the first time I heard it was by Tony Robbins, and he would say, we teach what we most need to learn. It's something that we've been talking about with our group in Black Belt of recent times, that if we really want to master something and understand it as deeply as possible so it is valuable to us, we must teach it. And it's more difficult than you'd think. It's quite challenging. It's easy to stand up in front of somebody and talk about something that you have a deep knowledge of. It's much more challenging to stand up in front of people and try to teach them something you're learning at that time. And that's what I'm doing right now. I want to learn this method far more deeply. So I'm going to talk to you about the method. The first thing is, we look at choosing a concept or a principle, something that we feel that if we learn this at a much deeper level, it would profoundly affect us in a positive way. It would give us benefit. So we're choosing something that we don't really know about at depth, but we can see why we would want to and the benefits of that. And the principle behind it is, if you're learning something and someone's teaching you something and you were aware that the very next day you had to stand up in front of a crowd of 500 people and teach it, how different would your approach to learning be? How many more questions would you ask? How many more notes would you take? How much more preparation would you do with that information if you were required to teach it? And it's obvious that it would make a profound difference. And so this is the principle on which the Feynman method seems to work. So first, we identify something that would make a difference to us if we learned it more deeply. That's the first step. The next step is to prepare to teach it. And there's a couple of criteria when you're preparing to teach this that the Feynman method encourages you to use. And one is the person that you're going to be teaching, and at this point you're only preparing to teach. You don't actually have to teach, but I would encourage you to do. You've got to understand that the person you're teaching has zero background knowledge on what you're talking about. So it needs to be really brought back to its fundamental basics and really deeply explain the principles. And the second part was, they're a 12-year-old, so they don't particularly know all of these big words that we might use in normal conversations. So we're teaching it to a 12-year-old who has no background in it, no previous background context, if you like. The next thing we do is teach it, and we can do it multiple ways. We can do it the way that I'm doing it now, which is through video. I've been doing it with our group of people and found that I was very ordinary at it, which has spurred me on to take on this challenge. So you can do it like this. You can take on the 90-day challenge and put some videos together, or you can teach your team, your friends, your family, however. But take that approach. And that step of teaching is really important because that allows us to get the feedback. Through the presentation, we can make note of where we stumbled or where we went a bit fuzzy or it went a bit unclear or it didn't make sense. And that feedback then causes us to go back to the source material, ask different questions, dive a little bit deeper and get clarity on the bits where it got a bit weird, a bit fuzzy, didn't make sense. And then you put that into the preparation for teaching it again. So off we go again. And if we rinse and repeat with this, we will find that we begin to learn at a much deeper level, because I find at least, that when I've got the opportunity to unpack an idea and really explain it to a person, and then another person, and then another person, and another person, I just get better at my metaphors. I get better at the story. I get better with the emphasis of certain things and leaving space for effect and things like that. And so your ability to teach becomes more effective, because your level of understanding, the depth of understanding, is much, much deeper. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm taking on the 90-day challenge. I encourage you to as well. The driver behind it is that I have been quite frustrated by the amount of, or the lack of, longevity in the implementation of the things that I've been teaching as a coach over my journey. But also talking to lots of people through the ToolShed podcast. You can see back over there the sign that's in the background of the ToolShed podcast. So that's on YouTube and Spotify and all that sort of place if you want to go listen to it. That is very common for people to have a problem, but then go try to look for a problem, and they will find what they believe is a solution, and they will make a half-assed attempt at implementing that solution, and that doesn't give them the actual benefit or the solution, so they then look for the next thing. And that would look like you go do a coaching program, but you don't stick with it for all that long. You go do a course, but you don't really implement it. You buy a bit of software. In Builder's case, they might buy a software package like Build Exact or Wonderbuild or something like that. And the amount of people that I talk to about that who don't use it to anywhere near its full extent are massive. I actually haven't even met anybody who really gets into, I'll just draw this blind because the sun's coming in the window and I'm all washed out. They don't really use it to its fullest extent. And what I'm trying to do with this series of videos is, firstly, help me be able to clarify and get better at explaining the solution to it, because I believe I do have the solution to that. But also along the way, I hope to influence you watching these videos to start to think more deeply about how you can change your approach so you can get value out of the things that you've already invested time and money and energy into in the past. It may be a past coaching program. It may be a course that you bought. It may be a bit of software or some sort of tool that you've got for your business that you don't really dive deeply into its potential. And by understanding these principles that I'll be unpacking over these 90 videos, I'm hoping that you will understand it. And if this is making sense to you, I'd love for you to reach out to me. Maybe we can get on a Zoom and meet each other and have a chat about how this is working for you. And I'd love to establish a group, a mastermind group, where we can get together on a regular basis and throw these ideas around and help each other to be able to implement them and really gain a lot of value from them. So if that makes sense to you, throw us a message through LinkedIn and we'll see if we can get together and have a chat and maybe form a movement. Who knows? But I'll be back with another video. This was video 2 out of 90. So I've only got another 88 to do. Not hard. And hopefully you'll get value out of watching these videos as well. Hope to talk to you soon. Be back soon tomorrow with video number 3. Bye for now.